Hey guys, welcome to the inaugural episode of Political Salsa. We're recording here live in historic downtown Kissimmee at the Hub at the Chandeliers Speakeasy. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Fetzer, and I'm here with the founder and creator of Political Salsa, Christian Suarez, a.k.a. The Professor.
Hey,
what's going on,
very
man?
cool, very cool. How you doing, Jeremy?
Good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a long time coming. We've been planning this for quite some time.
No
man.
kidding. And I'll tell you what, though. It looks really nice.
You know what I mean?
You did a lot in all this time that we've been preparing.
We got to. I mean, our background sponsor, Jackie and George Espinoza, who own 19 and 17 Broadway here in downtown Kissimmee, Chandeliers Event and Ballroom Center.
It's a dance studio.
And dance studio, Dante, too, but they have the ballroom here for Event Center where we hold a lot of civic events.
So, man, Jeremy, you set us up over here by a dance studio, and we're political salseros. Yeah. I kind of like that.
Hey, man, I'll tell you this. Last week, I had to start doing a salsa class.
What did you say doing? Dancing? Instructing?
Yeah, salsa dancing. I'm learning to salsa, and I got the bachata down, bro.
Really?
Yeah, man.
The bachata is okay. So that's like a Colombian dance traditionally.
Yep, the spin and everything. You know me, I've been adopted by the culture. You know what I mean? I've been in Central Florida since 2009.
Okay.
And then, been involved politically since I came here. And then we've kind of crossed paths.
Sure. Yeah.
Initially, we were on the opposite sides of spectrum.
Right.
You know what I mean?
At least that's what we were told.
Yeah, because we were both operatives at the time. Let's be real about where we were. We were both operatives. Mm-hmm. And then I think we've grown in that decade.
Yep.
And we're coming into our own in the leadership. And then, this is the discussion where I want to get into with you because you started Political Salsa.
Right. So, in all fairness, let's give credit to Dad, man. My old man actually founded the idea, right? He had the idea of Political Salsa. And just to recap for people, my old man was the first Puerto Rican ever elected to the Florida legislature. Yeah. And that was in 1999. Well, in 2003, 2014, right, we had 6 Puerto Ricans elected to the Florida House. 3 were Republican and 3 were Democrat. So these 6 gentlemen basically had a little ceremony up in Tallahassee to acknowledge my old man. And that was basically the birth of Political Salsa. We thought we should do something with this. There's 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats. They're honoring you. Let's do something. So we decided to have a nonpartisan event. So Political Salsa has always been about connecting the people to the electorate or to those that want to lead them, right? Connecting people, basically, and furnishing the conversation or creating the grounds in order to have a conversation and, in order to have the leaders explain what their visions are, et cetera. We've always done a straw poll as well.
So when was the first inaugural event? In 2014?
2014 at Barry Law School.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the very first event.
So cool. Your dad is, who people who don't know, it's Anthony Suarez with the Suarez Law Group. Is that what it's called?
Suarez Law Group. Mm-hmm.
And that's located off of Colonial in downtown Orlando.
That's correct.
So he's the OG of Central Florida politics.
Yes.
And let's just give him the kudos. He's definitely been a trailblazer in his time. Mm-hmm. And now we're talking about Political Salsa.
Yeah.
So you guys created this because it was a kind of
It's like an opportunity. We saw, wow, this is really unique. And imagine nowadays, 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats get together to do something.
Never heard of
together. Like, that's odd.
Yeah.
So we weren't quite as polarized at that point, right? This is 2014. But even then, that was considered interesting, right? So we thought, let's see what we can do with it. And we had a small event at Barry Law School. It's always been a free event. It's not a moneymaker. In fact, it's generally a fundraiser. But what we did was we basically had everyone seated in the crowd, and then we introduced each lawmaker one by one, almost like a wrestling, like coming in from Tallahassee. And this, it was really fun. And they'd come down the row, ready to fight, with their hands up. And then we basically had them, kind of not really debate, more of we'll call it like a forum. I mean, a lot of politicians don't want to hear debate, but they much rather talk about the issues. So that's what we did. We didn't really make it too competitive or scored or anything like that.
So it's just getting the public to know these elected officials and these people pursuing public office, kind of like in a just a get to know you event.
And we were
networking.
proud. It's kind of like a proud moment. This is really cool. We used to be only one guy, and then all of a sudden we have 6. Well, not all of a sudden, but
no. Let's be real. I mean, it kind of changed the landscape in Central Florida politics. I mean, honestly, because what people will have to remember when it comes to national politics, especially the presidential election, we have the I-4 corridor, right? Mm-hmm. Florida's always been that, turmoil state, that the hanging Chad, you know what I mean? And it really lies in Broward County, but also the I-4 corridor. So it's really a hot spot. And then when Political Salsa came to fruition, it really was a landing ground where if you wanted to be relevant in Central Florida politics, you had to be involved and engaged in that event.
What made it unique, Jeremy, what really made it unique was the fact that we had looked around and we saw all these other events around the same time, these primary events where they have the campaigns coming in, and we saw it's the same audience.
The chamber events.
Right. So exactly right. It's the same crowd every time. And the thing is, it's really a pay to play. It's whoever pays, they get a chance to speak. No one really challenges them, and they pass out buttons and stickers. Yeah. And we thought, come on, we can do better than that. So that's how it started to evolve basically after 2014. We did it again in 2015, 2016, and 2018.
So the last time the event was held was 2018.
2018.
Let's get into the 2018 because this is the one I love. This is the history of it.
Yeah.
So 2018 is really where 2016, of course, culture war happened, like big time culture war.
Yeah, and Trump
culture war came to the forefront, right? Mm-hmm. Before, yes, it was bubbling under the surface, but through the 2016 cycle, it exploded and became the number one political fight between the parties, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so 16 happened, but then 18 it really happened. In your event, it kind of got caught up in it, right?
Yeah, but by 2018 I was running the event. So I went from just assisting dad, and in 2014 at the law school we had moved it over to Asociación Borinqueña, which is it's no longer there unfortunately, but it used to be on the corner of Colonial and kind of like a Hachi. Trail, and it's the original Puerto Rican association where my father gave his victory speech. So we had a lot of nostalgia, and it was fashioned. It looked like El Morro, the castle down in Puerto Rico. And it was a much bigger space for us, So 2016, the culture war starts at that point. Starts really bubbling up. Trump actually performs well. I think he wins like 45% of our vote in our straw poll.
Holy crap.
Yeah, which ended up being almost representative of what we saw out there, which is really unique. Again, it's what separates us from the other events because you're getting almost
because you were tuned into what. Because I mean,
we have more people coming. But let's be
real. Based on what the numbers that you just said in 2016, and let's coin the term that we don't like, but the mainstream media kept on glossing over what was actually happening on the streets, right? It's the disconnect. They aren't in the neighborhoods. They aren't in the streets. They aren't a part of the actual culture, especially here in Central Florida. Yeah. So, but Political Salsa, when the straw poll happens, it was on point.
Yeah, I mean, the culture war really hit us in 2018, Jeremy. It hits us in our event in a big way. Specifically, in 2018, I'm trying to remember who it was. It got so contentious that I started sharing with the people that helped me run the organization. They're members of the Puerto Rican Bar Association. And I said, guys, we're missing an element from in 2016, we saw something. So now in 2018, the online community, we have to figure out a way to get the internet in here because we missed it, right? The whole country missed the Donald Trump election, essentially. They didn't have a good feel for what the votes were going to be, right? For how it's going to shake out. So I thought we have to get the online community in here. Otherwise, we're not going to get a real true picture, So we try to do something, different.
Yes. That's an understatement of the century.
Yeah. This is something.
You push the envelope with this. I mean, I'm just going to say like this is the same thing. I mean, a trailblazing thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm going to let you get into it. But
I do want to get into this. I would love to peel back the onion. And that's very much what I want to do here. Mm-hmm. What I want to do here at Political Salsa with this endeavor with the podcast and a YouTube show is that I want to start revealing stuff. I want to give people a look behind the curtain, so to speak. And I plan on showing the community a different side of me. I've been well behaved. right?
In polite society.
Polite society, right? Been saying the right things, squeezing the right hands.
In the room with all the right people.
And I realized all those people, they need scrutiny. And
they need to be checked.
And I don't have any. I no longer want to be a part of their game. I was waiting in line without even realizing it for my spot to be tapped one day. You're the guy now. Now it's your turn, Christian. I mean, it's like a weird grooming process. You don't even realize it, so to speak. But what I noticed through 2016 and 2018, when I noticed all these people that know so much about politics completely missed it, and then spent the next few years explaining it away in the wrong ways, right? Trying to grapple with why they missed it.
Instead of doing a root cause analysis to figure out what was going on, right? Nobody, and that's what I think I saw from you guys. Like, I think that's where we connected, right? Me and you, because I mean, before, I'm a nonpartisan now. Because truthfully, we're going to go down that path in future shows.
Politically homeless.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, for me, I was a partisan at one point, but then I fell out because I started looking around at my own party, realizing that there was no difference, right? It was all just people, just talking the talk. But when it came to action, nobody was actually helping the community on both sides of the fence. Right. And like we said, the polite society, yeah, let's be nice, let's talk, let's compromise to not do anything.
What ends up happening too is, and I was trying to explain this to my buddy last night, it's like the way this works when you're grooming somebody and they're just waiting for their spot in power is that you end up basically waiting for your spot, and then when you get tapped, you end up arguing and fighting for ideas and principles and issues that aren't even necessarily yours, because you're protecting your party. You're protecting the people that helped elevate you to get you that spot. So, to the whatever leadership position you finally get. So this is kind of how it happens. You no longer, because now you're just trying to preserve your little bit of power, right? You're trying to preserve that. So you have to pledge allegiance to your party and
trying to stay relevant in this game. Like let's be real. Like, to some, politics is a game, right? It's a racket. And we have a lot of people.
I never believed that, Jeremy.
Yeah, but it is,
I had high-minded ideals.
But we are idealists, and that's why I think we fell out with our parties, because when it came to us actually asking questions about some of these big issues that are facing our community and our region, and we looked at these party leaders and these thought leaders within our parties, they were saying the same thing, like, let's kick the can down the road. And for us, for me especially, and we feel in the same boat, this mediocre kicking the can down the road is no longer good enough. We have kids, right? Mm-hmm. And we're both proud dads. I know that's all we talk about. You talk about Lloyd, I talk about my girls. Like, this is like, that's where we check in first with each other. Like, that's how's the family doing?
Yeah, that's important.
And these people just let it go. So like, when I looked at Political Salsa and what you did in 2018, I was like, oh man, wow.
All right, so let's talk about it real quick. So in 2018, we decided we got to bring the internet in, and people are cautious about it, but I determined, I meet with a gentleman named oh my gosh, I'm spacing on his name right now.
Jacob.
No, not Jacob. I didn't meet with him first.
Who did you meet with?
First, I met with
TJ?
TJ Legacy Cole. And I had seen him online. I kind of liked what he was doing, and he was in touch with the black community.
TJ's a big activist.
Yeah,
big community
he's
leader.
online, so I thought and he's done some things. I mean, he actually he helped get the Citizens Review Board, for the
100%
police department. There's problems with that, but either way, he's actually making some moves. A young guy, and I just was kind of impressed with him online. I said, would you want to get together? And he did. And he came down and met me. We chatted, and through the conversation, I said, hey man, I'd like to have you come be a part of it. Somehow we want to get more online people involved. But I have this idea, and I wonder if you'd be up for it. Are you familiar with a gentleman named Jacob Engels? So he says, I know Jacob. Jacob's been trying to contact me for a long time. For our audience, Jacob Engels is Proud Boy adjacent. So
Central Florida Post he runs locally.
Right. Does he still run that, by the way?
It's still up and running.
Oh, interesting. So, important thing to know. All the politicians that come to Political Salsa, elected, and those that are trying to lead, I mean, as a broad stroke, but so many of them, especially the Republicans, all follow him and watch. They all, and he does little interviews here and there.
For who? Jacob?
Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I was introduced, Jacob introduced me to Matt Morgan, I guess. And when I say introduced, I mean I watched him online, right? So I learned about Morgan, the big wrestler guy out in Longwood, the Longwood commissioner. Yep. Okay. there's a few politicians that I saw for the first time.
No. Jacob had wide reach. I mean, he's close with Roger Stone. He's in the Trump, I would say, secondary circle.
Sure. Yeah, in one of those orbits there.
So I think the overlap, especially when it comes to the internet sphere and social media sphere at the time in 2018, he was prevalent.
Very
on the right wing politics.
Right.
Yeah.
And prevalent.
And TJ was the same on the left wing politics when it comes to local stuff.
And the Black Lives Matter was bubbling up back then, and he was there in the beginning of that movement as well. So I asked TJ, if he knows me, he's familiar with Jacob, and I said, would you be willing to co-host the show? It's not the show, but I thought in the beginning of Political Salsa, we have some downtime. And we have the main debates upstairs, and it's a little later on in the evening. But I thought in the beginning, it'd be a nice little icebreaker. As people are coming in, you have a little show in the corner, the internet show. You've got a Black Lives Matter guy sitting next to a Proud Boy. They both agreed to do this. So
I know. When I was like, is this guy for real? Like, did Christian lose his damn mind? What's going on? I mean, I loved it, but I was like, oh my God,
it doesn't work if I approach Jacob first.
No, because then it becomes a circus.
Plus, I didn't trust Jacob enough.
No, and I mean, it's a trust too, but I think you're being genuine in your reason for making this move, right?
Yeah.
I think some would have calculated that you were trying to could have been like a marketing ploy. But those were the people that were missing the boat on what happened in 2016, right?
And I'd been arguing with Jacob online for years. I never met the guy, but I've been debating him, whatever. So I really wanted to get this guy in a room.
We all did. We clashed online. I mean, that's where we're having these in these Central Florida political Facebook groups. We're all clashing, right? Jacob, me, you, TJ, all these people were going back and forth with each other, to include some other people out there.
Randy Ross,
same thing.
Threw me off his page.
I'm banned too, so don't worry. But I mean, this is the thing is, right? Yeah. So you do this. This is, I mean, honestly, for Central Florida politics, I thought this was like a huge ballsy move. Like, I was like, this is gutsy. Like, because honestly, with the polite society who's the main group that's coming in and ticket holders, right?
Yeah.
These two people are the people that they want to run from every time they see him, and now you're bringing them into the room. So what happens?
Yeah. Important side note. Just like you said, our congresswoman at the time in that area was Stephanie Murphy
for 7,
right? For 7 for Congressional District 7.
Yep.
And me and Stephanie have a little bit of history. But so I was making sure she could participate. I wanted to make sure she could be there because she hadn't been to any of our other shows. And Jacob was online harassing her to the tune of like
he was showing up everywhere
at her house with a camera, dude. And he would show up and ambush her essentially. I forget what his line was, but at any rate, I knew this was going to be a problem, right? So I thought, 2 birds, 1 stone. If I give the guy rules and put him in the corner, with TJ, I think I solved that problem. He's not going to ambush Stephanie when she comes to my event.
He's there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can rules. Anticipate.
And the truth is, people want to be heard, man. People want to be heard and want to be a part of it. So if you just, that was my thought. Like, you got to make him a part of it. So instead of him ambushing, because if I didn't make him a part of it, he would have came. Political Salsa is a free event. He came to every other event.
Yeah.
He would have came, and he probably would have ambushed her. So I was trying to create the circumstances also, to make it comfortable for Stephanie to come, for the Congresswoman to come.
But you're also putting TJ in the room, too, to push back, right?
That's right.
And to balance the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, for me, it's like you take the both sides, which to me are like, I don't want to call them extremes because they have valid points on both sides to a certain extent, right?
Sure.
On certain issues. Not all issues, on certain issues. You put them together, and when one starts getting out of control, the other one's going to be right there to check them.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that we're lacking. The reason why our echo chambers are what they are is you have nobody else checking them, right? I mean, our entire government is set up on checks and balances. So
is it?
So that's why those echo chambers get that way, and people become so radical because there's nobody checking them. It's just,
Yeah, it's unfettered noise just going, and it just grows and grows and snowballs.
Right. So 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 in my mind, I'm thinking we put him in the corner. We have rules, and he can't ambush her. At the same time, we're giving a substantive, interviews. They're going to be able to interview candidates. Basically, when I bring candidates by, they can ask them questions, and you have questions coming from. Anyway, you get the idea. Yeah. All right. So, what happens? So we go down to shoot some promotional videos for it. And we bring the former president of the Bar Association, which was my father, Tony, and then the current president at that time, Marie Mason. She comes down with us. And we shoot the promo. We basically do like a little video. We're introducing ourselves and saying, telling the audience, and this year we're going to try something different. We want to introduce you to our online community, our online host this year. And then we basically throw to Jacob and TJ, who are on camera, and they just riff is the thing. They didn't write or prepare anything. And they worked so well. Jeremy, one of them finished the other one's sentence, okay? Mm-hmm. First take. We shot it a second and third time because we felt like we needed to, but it was done first take.
Wow.
They were that natural. It was strange to see these guys that, they were ready. These guys are online. They're ready to go,
That's all they do all day.
Right. So they asked me, Christian, can we tease it? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we got to show everybody. Like, we want to show people that were working on something together. I'm like, it could be fun, right? Who doesn't want to go viral a little bit? Of course, it could help promote the show, or the event rather, And they put a picture up of Jacob and TJ with a green screen behind them. And by the time I got home from that studio, there were over, 200-300 comments. I want to say, it had absolutely it went viral, as they say.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's great.
But hold on.
Yeah.
It's good. But what did Dad think about it?
You know what? Dad was with it. Remember, Dad, he was it.
How about the other?
The president?
Yeah.
They both loved it. They were there to spin the promo with me. They bought into the idea.
So they knew what was going on.
Yeah, they liked the idea. They thought, that's cool. Let's do it. They liked it. They liked it up until there was a challenge. But Dad was always with it. To this day, my dad says it's a great idea. He was backing that. Now he actually says too much free speech is going on, but back then he liked free
too
speech.
Much free speech. I love it.
Yeah. So what's the problem? What happened? What's the problem?
What happened, Christian? What blew this all up? Who did the poop sandwich on you?
It's so funny because I almost like when I retell this, it almost feels like a cartoon sometimes. Like
I mean, honestly, for me, again, prefacing, this is about pushing the conversation forward,
right?
And now what you're going to see is what's still wrong with politics today.
Right.
So what happened?
Again, what's so great about the First Amendment is the fact that you want to give, even if they're bad ideas, the best disinfectant is sunlight. If it's a bad idea, I want to put it up here and let's interrogate the idea. So so that's the goal. The first pushback we receive is from the Democratic Socialists of America,
DSA.
The DSA. A young lady calls that we are platforming Jacob. Right?
Nazi.
We're giving him
the word came out, right?
All of the cliche things you can imagine, all of the little terms that we are trying our best to stay away from them in this program. We're going to try not to use any of the vernacular.
But we have to understand, and the reason why I say that is these words are used in such visceral context. And trust me, Jacob and I don't see eye to eye on anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But giving him this title is giving him a badge of honor that he's going to wear and go further with, right? So now he wants the controversy, and this is what they're giving him now.
Right. That's true. I mean, these guys figure they just they want attention, so to speak, right? They know how to get attention. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they're good at what they do.
Yeah. So let's explain. So the Democratic Socialists push back, and they're telling me that the guys are racist, and how could I do this? So I speak to the young lady. I said, I want you to understand that I went down to meet with the local president of the Proud Boys, and I met with Roger Stone, who was their friend, and they worked together, right? I met them to ask them specific targeted questions about their background. I said, listen, the guy's name was Tyler. I said, Tyler, I need to know before you come to the event. I have to know why the Southern Poverty Law Center would consider you guys a hate group. I have to understand. And the guy tells me, Christian, at some point it becomes a cost-benefit analysis. He says, we have tried to have them correct the record. The Southern Poverty Law Center is political, is what he tells me. They're not supposed to be, but this is his opinion. He says, and he shows me a video of them, of the Proud Boys doing a food drive to Puerto Rico in Hurricane Maria. And I remember seeing that online. They showed me a video of them fighting the Westboro Baptist Church people who, right? And he says, listen, we've done things like this, but the Southern Poverty Law Center is not updating it. We really can't. What can we do? I said, okay, so you're not a hate group. No, so you don't hate. No. What do you got? What are your principles? What are you founded on it? Well, we're Western chauvinists. Okay. Got it. Here's the thing, Jeremy. It's constitutional.
Yeah.
Right? Even if I believe he's lying to my face and I believe that he is a racist, which, again, that's a word we're going to be very careful with around here. If I believe he's bigoted in his heart,
I think you just said it, though. I think it's like these ideas, you let them come to the surface and debate them, and then it becomes exposed to what people are, right?
Right.
Is the further thing of pushing it away and acting like it doesn't exist allows it to fester and grow further.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so the young lady tells me, well, that's exactly what racists say. I said, okay. I said, listen, and I try to explain to her, but again, some people are so committed to their ideas that they almost don't even hear themselves.
They're ideologues at that point.
Total ideologues. She's telling me that that's what racists say, and then how maybe I just don't know, and I'm naive, and which I try to tell her, young lady, I have really dark skin, and I grew up in a Jewish community. Trust me, I know racism very well, or whatever that word is to people. That word has got to be changed. We've got to interrogate that word. Racism.
It gets thrown around too easily in a very emotional-driven culture right now.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just because somebody hurts your feelings doesn't always mean they're racist. I mean, there are racist people, but at the end of the day, I mean, because we can't say that it doesn't exist. It does.
Sure. Racism is like it's a bias. It's a favoritism, so to speak, in a way.
Yeah.
But it's so many different things. So
to unpack that's different. But now you're going down this path where now you're getting resistance from groups that I mean, honestly, they're not even understanding what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, they don't care. In their mind, I'm the one platforming him. And I explained to her, do you know all the elected officials follow him? He's already platformed, young lady. He created a platform, and these politicians, the ones that want to lead you, they all follow him and watch him. So how could we ignore him? We got to have him in there.
Ignoring him, it's such a disservice because then you're not. He has people following him. You know what I mean? He's got a voice. Whether or not we like it, whether or not you like it, certain people have followers and a voice, right? In their little circle, and we use this term loosely too, is they're thought leaders within that community. So if you're not engaging it and you're just turning off this whole portion of your electorate locally, how in the world, as an elected official or even a group that's a political group or a nonprofit trying to reach and help the community, you're doing a disservice because you're shunning a portion of your constituency for what? Instead of debating them, engaging them, and maybe finding some middle ground on certain issues, you're just ignoring it. Right?
Or just embarrass the idea,
Yeah, if it's a bad idea, bring it to the surface and excoriate it.
There's this thing going on right now in our culture, man, and I'm sorry, but it really is mostly coming from the left. And people just don't want to debate. They don't want to even hear your ideas.
Well, I think that's, we're going to unpack that, and just to touch on it from my end, they've taken it too far, right, to the absurdity. And most Americans are middle-of-the-road people. Right. They're trying to go to work, earn a living, and have a good time with their family on their days off,
Our system rewards the most extremes on either end, man. Our system rewards.
Because here's the thing but it's purposeful.
And then magnifies them.
No, but why? It's the purposeful portion of it, right? It's to distract the masses, to keep us yelling at each other.
I won't go that far. Because we're going to have to do this painstaking. This is part of what this project's going to be.
Yeah.
We're
not going to go. We can unpack. Me and Christian have this debate for hours while we're both sitting in the car driving, and we're just.
I want to do the work with you guys. Yeah. I want to do the work, the long form work. I don't want to use shorthand. Yeah. So instead of going that far with it, it's really like think of it like our social networks. People are freaking out, right? Frances she comes out and says, "Oh, they're making choices right now over. They're choosing money over." And the truth is, yeah, I mean, the reason why the algorithms are pushing these extreme opinions is money, right? Because these guys want more clicks. Facebook is pushing those up on everyone's algorithms.
Who are the two guys that were just with Barstool? They run that left where all they are click. They just do like clicks, right? They just run these narratives and they're a pay-per-click. They're three brothers that were trying to like tear down like Joe Rogan. What's his name? Barstool. And they went too far. And what's his name from Barstool calls them up, gets them online, and just starts going at them. You know what I mean? Because they were going on they were the ones who exposed Joe Rogan for using the N-word, right?
Yeah.
Like they took
11 years ago.
They took their staff, a 13-person staff, spent like 60 hours and just drove through it. But then in the same thing, one of them gets caught in a private text message using the same word in a worse context. And Portnoy with Barstool exposes it, and it's so funny. And I'll put it in this. I'll put it in this clip for you guys online, and it's just hilarious seeing that's what we're going at, right? So going back, now you have the DSA, coming at you.
Yeah. And basically, we tell
was that the only one that came at you?
No, but at this point, I had the support of the president of the bar with me. She's saying, having the phone call with me. She's a little nervous, but when we called the young lady together, she heard the way what I told the young lady, and then I related back. She said, "Okay, you know what? This thing is not being reasonable. We're still going to do it." To which I screamed, "Hooray!" Because I'm thinking the president of the bar is going to tell me to can this segment because she's getting pushback. So we keep moving forward. You know, when I start getting calls from Democratic operatives, right? People who are working with other campaigns, and they're telling me, this is probably the first time I think I've said this publicly.
No.
Yeah. Now I've said this publicly. This is the first time I said it publicly. The Democrats were organizing a boycott. Okay? The Democrats were organizing a boycott.
But at this time, you're like the darling of the party.
Not even me. Remember, the event
you were.
But it's not even me.
No. But think about it. You were a part of the apparatus at this time.
But they're not boycotting me. They were boycotting they were going to boycott the event because of Jacob. They're saying it's a security risk. Right? And I spoke, again, Murphy's campaign contacts me, and I've got to be honest about this. I blew it. I needed to call Stephanie Murphy's people. When I had the commitment from Jeremy, I should have not Jeremy from Jacob. I should have called her right away, and I delayed whatever reason. I was just doing it. I just got kind of distracted. They called me first. It was Stephanie Murphy's campaign manager, Christine, whatever. First. She calls me.
So it's a bad look.
You didn't tell me Jacob was coming. I'm like, wait a second. I had you in mind when I did this. By the way, I tell her, I had you in mind. I remind her, giving him rules. He's been ambushing. He's been there before. If you look in the cover art photo for Political Salsa on our on like the Facebook page or whatever, you'll see Jacob in there in the crowd. So I explained this, and she says, "Oh, he can't come." I said, "Listen, he's media. He's allowed to be there. You know." She says, "He's not media." I said, He's not media. All right. Explain. I am told by the campaign manager that Jacob is paid by the guy who was running. I can't remember his name, but by a certain campaign. I said, "Really? Can you provide me evidence of this? You know, that he's paid by this campaign, because that would mean he's not media if he's acting like a partisan." Yeah, she says, "I'll send it to you tonight." She sends me something, and it is. I can see like an invoice paid to his newspaper. So I asked Jacob. I said, "Hey man, I got this claim against you, and if it's true, I can't have you as media." And I said, "Are you receiving payment? Because look at this thing." He says, "Yeah, they bought ads in my paper." Right? The Central Florida Post. That's what they do. And he explains to me how Darren Soto does. He's like, "Look at Darren Soto." I pull up my app on my phone. He goes, "Look at the Sentinel app. Sentinel endorsed him, and they're doing advertising for me." So that's par for the course. He's saying, "This is business. This is how business is done." So I go, "Wow." Again, it passes constitutional muster. Whether I believe it or not, it's not up to me.
Not whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. It's not about what we like as people. At a certain point, even the opinions we don't like, they're still in the room, right?
Yeah.
And so now
she wants to further discredit him and get him out of the room. She wants
to play hyper-partisan with you,
right? So when I come back to her and I say, "Hey, it checks out," I mean, the guy says he says that he got money they paid for ad space. And he tells me he's not campaigning for the guy. And he did show me other articles that cut against him that he had written, that he had in his paper. She says, "Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. We're not coming." After I did all that legwork, did all those explanations, she tells me it doesn't matter anyway. We're still not coming. So obviously, you can imagine how frustrated I was with that. She says she's not coming. Okay, fine. But I start hearing about this Democratic boycott.
So this is rumbling in the background.
I get.
So you're hearing from you're hearing from operatives in the field.
Yeah, an operative who was
that they're lining up against you.
Yeah,
the event, not you. The event.
The event. They're lining up against the event, and then I get a call.
I mean, it's pseudo you too, because this is yours. This is you're pushing the envelope on this.
I guess. I mean, I guess you could look at that. I never really did. I didn't look at it that way. And don't get me wrong, I take things personal all the time. I'm very sensitive. But in this instance, I didn't really. I thought of it as, I was frustrated because it did feel personal in the sense that this is an event that traditionally was started for the Puerto Rican community, and,
for an education purpose,
like an education thing, right?
To let people know who and why people are running.
Just to think, man, these people are, and I had just given an endorsement of Darren Soto. So if he doesn't come to my event 2 days later, I look like a fool. I look like a fool. So how do we unpack the rest of the story? This must be done in parts, because
No, I mean, we're going on the same. So now the boycott's happening. So what happens?
I get a call from a sponsor.
Yeah, so now sponsors are calling about dropping.
Yeah, I get a call
from a sponsor. So now it's all
sponsor.
just tail spinning at this point.
The sponsor says, "Oh, I feel betrayed." I explain it to the sponsor. "Oh, I feel, I was lied to."
So when the Democrats started doing this boycott, they started reaching out to the sponsors.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Maybe they did.
Allegedly, in my opinion.
Sponsor contacted me, and that was basically it. At that point, the board of directors, they meet, they have a phone conference, emergency vote, and they vote to cancel that segment and to not have Jacob. So I call the Democratic operative. I'm like, "You win. Let the Democrats know. Let them know."
They won.
Jacob's not coming. The first thing out of his mouth, Jeremy, was, "What about TJ?" She didn't say thank you.
They wanted TJ out of the room too?
Very first thing they said was, "What about TJ?" They wanted TJ out and they wanted Jacob out.
Why TJ?
Because TJ is going to ask questions they can't control.
So TJ is going to ask hard questions of the left.
Democrats, yeah, exactly. And
like,
they didn't want that.
Where are you for, the jobs in the urban communities? Where are you? Where's the real support? You only come around every 4 years kissing babies and
what have you got
hands.
done? What have you done? Local leadership,
crime in
just
Orlando.
Any question. They just want to show up and take pictures is the truth.
That's all politics.
This was my problem with Stephanie Murphy to begin with. When she came in 2015, she came at the end of the event and wouldn't come in the door. I watched her in the parking lot after she ignored my calls for the invitation. Then she waits for Darren to show up. So when the Puerto Rican champion comes, then she comes walking in.
So she wanted the optic of being part of the community.
Oh yeah.
Being a part of the culture.
Wouldn't take my calls. Wouldn't return my emails, right? And then came in and said, "Can we get on the stage?"
But doesn't she know? Like, honestly, like, especially being here in historic downtown Kissimmee and Osceola County, which
shout out to Chandeliers.
Yeah, we're almost 70% Hispanic. When it comes to the population, right? So the culture, the Hispanic culture here, it's vibrant. It's so diverse because you have the Puerto Rican culture, the Cuban culture, the Venezuelan, the Colombian. They're all have their own unique flavor to it. Mm-hmm. And so here's Stephanie Murphy. I'm Asian too. I'm Coreano, right? Flat out. But like I'm so entrenched in the culture. Like if you're not on the streets, you know what I mean, in the community, you're not going to pass muster, right? Like that's the thing. So she's just trying to get a photo op with
trying to get the street
just walking arm in arm with him, and then that's gonna.
She wasn't elected
yet.
That's
gonna get the overlap,
right? Exactly. She wasn't elected.
So
yet.
why is she not running? We'll go into that later.
Yeah.
But now she's not running.
I know. So
So now the segment's off. Jacob's gone.
Well,
but now the Democrat operatives.
Wow.
But hold on. Let's go this. Mm-hmm. Jacob, essentially, on paper, is out.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Democrat operatives are asking about TJ Colby.
Mm-hmm. To which I'm shocked. And then what?
So are you taken back by just that statement?
Totally shocked by that. But I said he's planning on being. They said no, he can't. We don't want him there either. Now they think they're calling the shots at my show. It was, at our event. Forgive me. We'll check that in post.
Not now. It's yours because you did incorporate it.
That's true.
It is yours now.
It is. So sorry, where was I? Where was I?
You're talking about TJ. You're shocked, and now
I was shocked about that. And
Jacob's out on paper. So
So
let's talk about.
That's right.
Let's segue into the event, day of the event.
Well, yeah, I start getting some little. The day of the event, I start getting little notes and feedback from the board who had the emergency vote, and they're saying, you really shouldn't have TJ there either. And I said, guys, one thing you're forgetting, it's a free event to the public, and these guys know it. So you're telling me when they come, I'm going to tell them to leave, right? What do you mean? What do you mean they can't come at all? We don't want to give them media credentials. I said, oh, okay, understood. Because they were telling me, Jacob can't come. I said, you understand it's free. Jacob shows up. Now he knows he's been declined, right? This guy's not happy.
No, he's going to make it an issue.
He shows up with 8 other Proud Boys, all wearing their MAGA hats with guns on their waist.
Oh, jeez.
To which I knew they were coming, so I had asked my nephew to keep an eye out for them. My nephew sees them and comes and gets me on stage. We were just about to give, I think it was like maybe the national anthem or something like that in the front. And so anyway, he grabs my nephew and goes, Jacob's here. And I run outside to meet them. And as I go out to meet them, they had already walked in. They didn't even ask permission. They just basically walked in because they felt like they were going to get pushback. So they decided, let's just walk in and see if they stop us. And as I'm walking down,
So they want the spectacle.
Yes. So I catch them. I say, hey, guys, how you doing? Welcome. Glad you guys were able to make it. And as I'm saying this to them, the national anthem starts, to which they take their hats off, right? Their MAGA hats off to put them over their hearts. And as soon as the anthem's over, I lean in their ear and say, I need you gentlemen to remain, keep the lids off your head, please. And they go, that guy over there is wearing a hat. I said, as a matter of fact, he is. I had to go chase the guy down, tell him to take his hat off. Guy looks at me like I'm an asshole. He says, no.
Now you're mitigating.
I'm chasing down this old man. Like, bro, take your hat off.
I'm
I'm
enacting this rule and everybody's getting shut down.
Yeah, so I said, listen, you guys are welcome here. There's free beer this way. And they asked, that's right, they asked me, they said, do we need to take our hats and put our hats in the car? I said, that's a bit much, If you don't mind just putting it on your arm, I want you to be proud of your guy. Have your hat. We just don't have anybody else wearing hats in here, But that worked out well. At the end of the night, it's funny. That vote they took a vote to cancel that segment. But normally when you have an issue like this and you have an emergency vote, you have a second vote, right? The second vote would be, now that this person who made this poor choice has probably lost your confidence, we should remove that guy and put someone new in there to make these choices. Here's the thing, Jeremy. They didn't remove me. So they canceled my segment, showed me no confidence, and then leave me in position to make decisions, right?
You're still running the event.
Running the entire event. Huh.
So it's all political. It's all optics. It's not even political. It's optics at this point.
So I actually go further than that. More than optics, I get TJ Legacy Cole a credential. And then I get him an interview with Andrew Gillum.
Oh, wow.
And then I let TJ in. I take a picture with the Proud Boys.
That's a photo you have, yep.
Yeah, I take the picture with Jacob, rather, and the Proud Boys. And the president of the bar comes up to me in the hallway. She goes, but Christian, we specifically talked about this. This is exactly what we voted on. I said, yeah, but you guys didn't vote to remove me. I mean, at this point, the event's over in like 30 minutes. And I was like, you guys can certainly remove me now. I'm done for the evening.
And so
it's just funny because we basically got them in the room anyway. Right, and they were able to do some interviews or whatever. Merely not Jacob, but the bottom line is we were at least able to get them in the building and show them they're welcome. The guys had a great time. They had a great time.
And this goes down to the same thing. It's like, do we continue to shut down these ideas and keep it so it festers, right, and then it boils over into something bigger? Or do we actually start challenging them, bring them across from us, kind of like, who we talk about is like the Joe Rogan segment, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like the Joe Rogan segment is always, he's never saying what's right or what's wrong, right? He's
asking questions. Asking questions usually.
Long form.
Long form.
You know what I mean? And it allows people to come to their own conclusions.
Right.
Instead of what's happening now with mainstream media where everybody's being led down a path for a purposeful, sometimes corporate reasoning.
Right.
And now that the landscape has changed and everybody's getting their media, their information off of segments like this, because again, while we'll admit certain biases we have towards candidates we'll support, because we will. I mean, I definitely support candidates. It's what do we do from that point forward? You know what I mean? Like, do we go back to the same thing where we're going to listen to mainstream media? Probably not. Probably not.
I watch them just to know what their angle is, you know, just to know where what story they're telling. That's it. Yeah.
So, do you think for you, now, right now, looking back, sorry, I'm having some trying to plug in here.
I just really we have to change the format, man. We gotta, be, we gotta be flexible, man. You know, how do we connect the people with the electorate? I mean, we need it now more than ever. You know, we need to have this type of thing, and people, there's so many reasons to not get in a room.
No, there definitely is, because I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to who is getting the advantage, right? So politics is always about the advantage, right? It's who are we, from being on the campaign side, right? We're always trying to get that little advantage. Will Channel 9 cover me? Will Channel 13 cover me? Who's going to give us a good look, right? And so expand that nationally, statewide, right? It's who's going to give the best coverage, right? So something like Political Salsa and what we've been talking about, it's creating an outlet for people to just get unfettered access to information that we're going to bring to you in long form. We're going to bring on guests. We're going to challenge ideas.
We're not going to have a clock on us. There's no clock on us. We talk until we don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too, on some of the big ideas, because, again, public policy-wise, I mean, we agree on outcomes, right? Me and you always, we agree that there's a good outcome, right? That's where we always land.
We both want a good outcome.
But our path.
And what's that outcome look like?
But our path is always different. So that's where we have this our debates, our internal debates, right? But Christian and I have this thing is like we're always going to start with like what's the baseline of truth in the debate.
Oh yeah, what's the history of whatever issue? What do we know about it, right?
Yeah, the baseline. We're going to baseline it, right? So
where do we learn this from? Also, right? Where do we learn this from? Because nowadays everybody's scrutinizing that too.
Yeah, and then next, what do we do? Right. Next is we can't just end with we agree to disagree.
Right. We have to identify the belief that we hold differently, because believing something differently passes constitutional muster. Exactly. I want to be really deliberate with my words here. I feel like there's a craving for that out there. I think every pocket of the country is feeling this. I think we need to reestablish our lines of trust. We need to have, commitment from people and projects of public trust, and that's what I want this to be. Traditional media, that's what they were there for, essentially, right, to be another check in our system, what they call the fourth estate, right, to check on the power structures. But the media has gotten so involved with those power structures, and capital has really it's changed the way things are done, the way our systems are working, and they're perpetuating problems. So it's time to slow down and unpack things. No more turns of phrases. I want to really get away from using cliches or expressions, isms, right? And if we use them because we lack the language, let's take a second. Let's interrogate it. Let's understand why we said it that way. Remember, we were talking about you just said earlier, they want to keep us divided. Let's slow down, because I think a lot of us hear that and it's like they recognize that, right? But they recognize that the idea of power. People in power trying to keep little people divided, but it's nebulous. It's gray, that concept. So let's slow down. Let's try to walk through that a little bit slower is what I want to try to do. Unpack it a little bit, right?
And expose it where we can actually expose how it's being done, right?
Yeah, and I want to bring this camera with us, and I want to show people what the impediments are. Like, what if you think a lot of people may even know me from whatever work I've done, and people may think I have access to places. Let's show you. I want to show you.
Yeah,
where do I get the nose?
For us, it's whatever credentials. We've been using that word this week in our internal dialogue. Whatever credentials we've garnered, and now because our generation is coming to the forefront of leadership, right?
No, I don't think so.
I think we are.
I mean, we should be.
No,
Typically,
I
this
don't,
age
I don't,
group.
I don't think we're asking to be at the table anymore. I think we're just going to start taking it, right?
That makes sense to me.
I think this has been the biggest debate for us as ongoing is we have everybody in certain power positions right now in public office who are part of creating the mess that we're currently living in, now telling us that they have the solutions to get us out. And for me, that's disingenuous, right? Like, you no longer have good ideas to me. Like, especially when repeatedly...
There's going to be a penalty paid. There just has to be some penalty. We haven't seen any accountability anywhere. So,
accountability, what's that?
yeah, we haven't seen any accountability, man. All people that who have been in leadership. I mean, listen, if you're happy with the circumstances right now, then you're happy. Maybe you could turn off the TV, turn off the monitor, or whatever. But we're just not. We're not getting. They're not responsive. We're not getting. The leadership right now is not even speaking about things that people care about. They don't even care to placate to us.
No, and I mean, that's, sorry to segue, but I mean, that happened here this week. I showed up at the Osceola County Commission Strategic Plan Workshop, right? And the number one priority that this county commission had was spending $75 million on a performing arts center in Neo City, which Neo City, if you don't know, is a $200 million high-tech corridor it's all taxpayer investments. That hasn't created anything. And so instead of we have a growth problem where,
in Osceola County,
it's been mismanaged.
Growing too fast.
Yeah.
Not
the
enough
roads,
space for them.
Traffic.
Homeless,
we have a traffic nightmare. It's a traffic crisis, school capacity crisis, homeless issue. Average family median income is $46,000 a year. You know what I mean? You have a lot of small businesses struggling to find employees now post-pandemic. And the number one priority this county commission had was building a $75 million performing arts center in a project that's been an absolute failure.
We must be entertained.
But this goes back to it. This goes back to this whole thing about distractions, right? It's the sleight of hand, and that's always in politics.
That's interesting. I see what you're doing here. You're calling back to that. So. Because I don't think it's quite as conspiratorial in a way, right?
I don't think it's conspiratorial. I think it's not conspiratorial. It's just a tactic, right? It's why did Newt Gingrich create the culture wars in '94, right? He even said it explicitly, was to win votes, to split the votes. It's about winning elections.
I think we hold this belief together that the beginning of this partisan culture war we're in started with Newt Gingrich.
94.
Right?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Campaigned against Bill Clinton.
Yeah, it was to win the House. He said it specifically. He was going to create these culture war battles to split votes to win elections.
Can you give us some examples? Remember what, like the
real debate on abortion, like the modern debate on abortion, the LGBTQ debate. You know what I mean? All these issues that to me are considered wedge issues, right? When it comes to public policy, especially in my libertarian leanings, those are personal decisions, right? That the government shouldn't be involved in. Constitutionally, the government has no. It's a personal decision. So, but let's create a culture war out of it. Let's pin people against each other so we scream at each other, and now we can split votes. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, that was it. I mean, that's it.
Am I wrong?
It.
But now it's being modernized too, and we're not going to go in depth, but we talk about this yesterday. Now it's critical race theory. Now we're splitting it even further, right?
Yeah.
Now we're just pushing it to the 22nd century. You know what I mean? It's like these it's meant to distract us. It's meant for communities not to come together and say, wait. You're putting a performing arts studio instead of fixing our roads? You know what I mean? Like,
who would make that choice? The Performing Arts Center, for instance, it's not one person, right? It's like, because it seems to me a little attenuated to say that.
No. So it's this Neo City project here locally, right? It's this commission. Well, this county manager who's been a complete and epic failure. He's been like a 15-year nightmare. Like, he's never done anything good. And
names, or what are we doing?
Don Fisher,
county
county manager. He was fired from your county, Seminole County. He was a deputy county manager there, got fired.
I knew that name, and then he got brought in Osceola County.
Came here as a planner.
This is a perfect example. Hold on, time out. There we go. Where is the accountability? He's fired from Seminole County, and then Osceola County brings him on in
as a planner, and then he ascends.
Oh wow! So second chance around, he did a much better job.
Yeah.
Okay.
At screwing up.
I mean, that's it. You fail upwards around
Colt
here.
deal dead. Toxic coal ash. Trying to raise the sales tax. Growth problem. Traffic problem. School capacity problem. It just goes. I can't name something he did that actually helped the community.
Did he at least live in the county?
Now he does in Harmony.
Because that's not even a requirement.
No.
Isn't that wild?
Home rule. Like what?
We just learned that now in the pandemic. Like emergency, your county manager didn't have to live in the county.
No.
And he's appointed. He's not elected.
He's appointed. And this guy just got a $50,000 raise a month ago, and it got.
Who makes that choice?
So he was making like $265. So compared to the administrator in Orange County, which has a 1.4 million population, Osceola has 400,000. The guy in Orange County is making like 285,000. That's what Don Fisher makes now. And the population is less. It's extreme, like
right.
substantially
It's less people,
less.
right? And it's less of a job.
They have a $4.2 billion budget. We have a $1.7 billion budget. And this guy got a $50,000 raise retroed back to October 1.
Man, why is Osceola spending so much money on that? I mean,
because he knows everybody. He's got the commission on lock, right? And so he found this NeoCity idea, and we'll in depth.
yeah.
Because a third leg of economic development, they wanted to put a Silicon Valley here. It's just not working. UCF ran from it. And again, this is $200 million of general fund property tax dollars that could have been used on roads, fire safety. Oh, this community needs a lot more than NeoCity, right? And now, instead of addressing it after the fact, now they want to spend $75 million on a performing arts center. So the 20 people that work at NeoCity can watch Hamilton.
No, I think they're going to train all the homeless people to be actors.
It's the absurdity of it. But that's what I mean with this distraction thing, right? So now we're getting back. So let's go back to Political Salsa, right?
Yeah.
So now we heard where it was, where it currently sits. What's the plan in the future for this? What are we going to do?
So, good question. Let's bring it back. I want to maintain our same mission as far as, connecting the people with those that want to lead them. It's important. It's something we've done well for a while. So, but we can't pretend that things are the way they were. So we're going to be more hyper focused, right? For instance, this year we just want to focus on the school board races. And in the past, we would have had everything from governor races to congressional legislators, sheriff races, and we will highlight usually 4 races. But now we're just going to do one race, and we're past the age of persuasion, Jeremy.
No,
Everyone's got their mind made up, and they know better. It's like everybody already knows. So instead of having this debate or forum, we're going to interrogate the ideas. We're going to have a candidate come up and you can give your speech, and then we're going to personally ask them questions like we are now, a conversation, but for everyone to see it.
Yeah.
Let's just tease it out a little bit longer. No more. Give me your 30-second response that doesn't even have to necessarily make sense. Everyone smiles, right?
Yeah,
Nods.
don't give me your three top public policy ideas and just spin me back on them every time, right? I mean, that's what we train clients to do.
We get it. Yeah, we don't. No
you're
more.
You're not going to flip it on us.
Everyone's got to do a little bit of legwork now.
Yeah,
a little bit of long form. So, and then we got to get online more. We got to do more, vignettes or stuff that we're doing online for the public, stuff like this.
So we're going to do this. Try to do this bi-weekly or weekly if we can.
Yeah, we can. Bi-weekly is good. I think if we could do it weekly and pull it off, let's go for it. They may not be all that long, but again, even if it's just a conversation, Jeremy, I want to come down and talk.
But we have some guests in the lineup that want to come in here and talk with us. And here's the thing is, we're here to talk to everybody. And we're not here to do hit jobs. You know what I mean? We're here to have conversations. And if you really are running for public service and public office, that's all we care about. I don't care about personal issues. In politics, everybody wants to hit personal issues. I care about public policy.
Right.
I care about where you land on the big issues facing the community. And each county is different. What you have going on in Seminole County, what Orange County has going on, what Osceola County happens, even with Osceola, what's happening in Kissimmee versus St. Cloud, but we want to talk this through with people because at the end of the day, the mission is to educate the electorate.
Right.
right? We're here to help people who are too busy working be able to just pull this up and actually be like, okay, this is a major issue hitting.
Right.
And it's going to change too with breaking issues. Some big public policy issue happens or some breaking news happens. We're going to be covering it.
Yeah.
And for us, there's no corporate interest here, right?
Right.
It's just two guys who care.
We're not making any money from this, folks. This is not even a money endeavor. If they can't threaten us.
Yeah. We have...
And I don't want their positions.
No.
I don't want their power.
No, because this is about our kids and, and the future and legacy, right? At the end of the day, it's about legacy. And that's where I think, for me specifically, that's my motivation, right?
Yeah.
How am I going to leave this world a better place for my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids?
Right.
Or are they going to say Grandpa just sat on his bumpkiss and did nothing while the world crumbled around him?
Right.
Right. And my name's been dragged through the mud locally in politics on certain ends, and like I have people either love me or hate me. There's no like middle ground with me. It's so weird because like again, it goes back to this like I have this mythical thing where people come up to me like, "Oh, you're that guy," and I'm like, "Bro, really? Come on, chill." You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I care. You know what I mean? And I show up and I give my time because I can. And I think that's what Political Salsa is about. And this is why this has been an ongoing mission. And trust me, this has been so long.
Kudos to us, though, man. I think we've been patient with one another.
But
Life is tough. We went through a pandemic trying to plan this.
But not only that, I think we didn't want to rush it, right? I think it's for us what we didn't want to put something together just to put something together, right? We're very intentional people, right?
Right.
And I mean, I don't think, especially with all of our outside of this commitments, life commitments, right? Like we have to be very intentional,
right?
So I think when you listen to us, just let us know that like we care, like, and at the end of the day, we'll talk with anyone, even if you're a citizen out there and you want to come on and chat it up with us, come on. Yeah. Even if you disagree with us vehemently, come on, talk to us.
That I really want to talk to you then.
Christian really wants to talk.
Really, I mean, I love confrontation. It's a problem.
This is why he went to law school.
Oh, God, I really want to talk about that, too. You might be curious. Hey, Christian, aren't you supposed to be a lawyer? Oh, yeah. I am a lawyer, by the way. Okay. But, yeah, I want to talk about all that stuff.
Oh, we're going to unpack a lot of stuff in the future. And that's why I think for me, it's like Political Salsa, the iterations that it's gone through, and then what we plan to do in the future together. I think it's, especially within Central Florida, we're planning on doing events, bringing back the event, right? That's the plan, especially with this cycle, focused on school boards. But
more food, more music.
The culture.
More food, more music.
The culture and community. Because that's what the culture is about.
Let's go get some young people.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have that many young people in Political Salsa. Even though it's a pretty good representative, supposed to, electorate there, right?
But we're not
older people.
I mean, while
I think the younger people give a shit now. They care about politics a little bit now.
I think the pandemic put them in a position to where they had to. I think it forced them to.
If they don't, then we got to do what the boomers did and just sell them everything.
But I mean that's. But I think, especially looking at my daughters, right? Especially my oldest, my middle one. She's a very idealist person, right? When you talk about politics, she's like, I hate it, but I understand I have to be involved in it, right? She has disdain for what it is now, but she's such an idealist and wants to make this world a better place, which you all want at that age, but they're smarter, right? Technology-wise, like what they do on TikTok, social media, their reach for people is 1,000 times more than we could ever think, right? It's at their fingertips, and they know how to utilize it, right? And so seeing that and seeing this culture and what they're doing, even though some people in older generations may not understand the technology, they're communicating to each other. They're sharing ideas. And you don't think that they're going to push candidates that they want to push that way? Like, you're foolish, right?
Yep.
And so engaging them and bringing them involved in the process, and we're eventually going to hand this over to somebody, right? Not going to do this forever.
Right.
Just to create.
It'd be really cool to create an institution, right, to keep this and be able to actually pass it on to somebody.
That's my goal.
Because I'm really not that high-minded. Being honest, I'm not that ambitious, and I'm not that high-minded. I mean, I want to do something cool, and I want to do something that matters, or it gives and it's a contribution in some way. And I feel like this is kind of my best vector, my best way in. It's what I was sort of groomed for.
No, yeah. I mean, I hate that you say that sometimes because, like, for me, it's like you're so much more than, initially when we started linking up, it was you were Anthony's son, right? And I'm like, I don't think you know Christian. I was like, that's the biggest, like, that's the furthest thing from who you are as a person, right? And your ideas and your idealism is completely different. And I think we'll unpack that at a later date too. That's a whole show, and that might be a subpar segment.
I'd love to like define progressive one day. That'd be so fun. Or not define. That's boring. Or like find all the ways that people have used progressive.
We're gonna bring in a chalkboard, do the Glenn Beck like circles, right? And do the spider web. The string theory is to everything, connecting everything.
You noticed all the way back. It goes all the way over here, and then who's a progressive? Mitt Romney, the newest progressive.
I mean, it's not a lie. it's not a lie.
Well, the health plan is his.
Didn't he start in Massachusetts as governor?
In fact, that's how he's a progressive. There you go.
But I mean, and then that's the problem with politics, right? That's the discussion we have. Our debates are so like, what was the one the other day? The other day you were in Target parking lot. We're sitting there for like an hour and a half, just chatting.
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Because this is again, this is long form, so we're just gonna go.
I still believe in the American dream, Jeremy. I want to at least.
No,
I don't want to be jaded. I don't want to be the guy who's scorned,
I believe in it 100%. What I think the problem is that
it's broken right now.
No, corporate and Wall Street doesn't believe in it, right?
No, they don't.
So when you turn on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they may talk it, but at the end of the day, everything they're doing is to deteriorate, to get us to yell at each other, to destroy it, right? To me, it comes down to, what was it yesterday? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's all we're guaranteed, the preamble.
That's it.
Nowhere does it say equal outcome.
No, it doesn't.
Everything's self-evident, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, this is what we're talking about too, where the left has pushed it too far, is and even the right too, nobody talks about, and we said it earlier, accountability, personal accountability, right?
Yep.
So while I believe there should be certain safety nets for people who are in situations,
right?
At the end of the day too, it's like, where are you accountable for your own actions? Right? And that's the American hustle, right? Like it's the JG. Don't knock the hustle, right?
Yeah, we only keep the working class accountable.
Yeah.
That's who we keep accountable, right? I mean, look at this right now. We got stimulus money, right? That stimulus money. Oh my gosh, you gave people money. It's like inflation. People went crazy with the inflation stuff because they want to keep people accountable. Or we can't give a moral hazard and give you more money, right?
But not only that, go back to the same thing with like the continuous corporate bailouts, right? Continuous corporate bailouts. But like for me, we were talking about the other day. For me, you want to fix the economy, wipe out all personal debt and credit, restart. What happens then, right? Now you have access to everybody has access to whole new capital, right? Not to say that's the best way, because then it's personal responsibility again. Like, what do you do with it at that point?
Right.
Are you going to make the same bad choices and go down the same path? Most will. But at the same time, why Wall Street doesn't make bad choices? They still make bad choices from 2006 to 2008.
Look at the Delta plan. I challenge anyone to look at Delta's most recent bailout package, where it was specifically tethered to them not letting people go, and they let people go immediately afterward and still took the money. Nobody even reported on it.
But
barely.
And think about all the golden parachutes that get let out for people who destroy public health companies that should be in jail. Like, again, I go back to the same thing with 2006, 2008 collapse. Who went to jail? Who went to jail for almost destroying this country? Nobody, right? So,
it'd be interesting to talk about that one day, to go into that. My experience with the real estate markets in 2008. I mean, that was one of those first moments where the veil lifted a little bit, and I started seeing, oh my gosh, man, everyone just kind of like freewheeling, figuring it out as they go. And if you agree to something that was said to you over the bank, boom, contract. Like that. That was an interesting time, man.
You were in the midst of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had the title company.
And
We
you
were
were trying to
doing
help people.
short sales, mortgage modifications. Yeah, trying to get people's
We're gonna
debt
unpack
eliminated.
that for sure in future episodes, and that's what we're gonna do. You know what I mean?
I just want to be a conduit for people. I want people to know, like, if you have a real estate question, you have a legal question, right?
If you want
whatever.
topics, like, we're gonna bring on anyone. You know what I mean? Like, that's relevant to the community. Like, that's it. Like, the culture in the community. Like, we're gonna have chefs on here. We're gonna have, musicians on here, artists on here that are making impacts to the community. It's not all. It's all political. Don't get me wrong. It's all political.
Everything's political.
You know what I mean? But it's more, right? And we have to showcase the best and the brightest too. We're not going to only highlight all the issues we have, but we're going to showcase some of the best and the brightest. And there's things that to look forward to in our future in our community as well. So there's a lot to really be excited for. Now that we've kicked it off with this inaugural episode, we're going to start planning out the event coming up for the 2022 cycle. Stay tuned for more discussions.
Reach out to us on socials. I'm gonna get back on it, and I'll log back into Facebook. I
How about
tweeted the other
TikTok?
day.
How about TikTok?
I won't go there.
Why?
Chinese, something owned by the Chinese government.
All right, we'll unpack that later. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to unpack that.